welcome. You're watching Market Meter on Money 9. I'm Sakshi, Batra, and this is a show where we give you all the updates of the market action in the first half of trade and also help you understand what's the trajectory of the markets that is likely to follow, especially with the views from fundamental experts. Joining in today is a very special guest. Mr. Kranthi Bathini joins in from WealthMills Securities. Good afternoon, Kranthi. Thank you very much for joining in on Money 9. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Let me begin by understanding from you, how are you seeing the markets currently? It's been quite volatile on an everyday basis, and of course some of the external factors are at play over here. So are we likely to see this volatility and this game going on for some more time, and what should the investors be doing at this point in time?
Pleasure to be on your show, Sakshi. Sakshi, at present the markets are going to be completely, next few weeks it's going to be in a complete range bound. The upside is capped at the same point of time. The downside also capped in the market,
right?
Because every dip in the market, there is a gush of liquidity that is protecting the market, and the buying interest is taking place in the markets. So investors who want to build up a portfolio at present point of time, investors need to have a staggered approach. It's definitely a market which is buy on dips market, and investors to use this volatility for the advantage of building up the portfolio, and also wherever there are some excessive profits, better to take some profits from the table, and this is the best strategy in these markets.
Okay, so a staggered approach, and it's a buy on dips market is what you really recommend. But as far as some of the sectors are concerned, especially with the Nifty Bank, what's your view now? Do you think some more volatility will take shape, and the investors who have been looking for buying in this space, especially the banking space, which has been the biggest contributor of gains in 2021 that we have seen? So, going forward also, if the story is to play out, should they actually use the kind of dips that are getting continued in the days to come, but should they actually buy into these stocks, and especially which sector? Should it be the PSU banking sector, or would you still prefer the private banking space that you think will be a better place to be invested in?
Sakshi, as always we reiterate, banking is the epicenter of the growth. So banking is going to take the advantage in the growth momentum in the economy, as we are going to see the earning revival, and as the growth goes to double digit, the NPA problem will be subsidized with respect to banks, and also banks is going to take the essence of the entire growth story of India. This is the reason what we witnessed is a fabulous rally. Bank Nifty is back to its levels. The banks, which are the large cap stocks in private sector, and also some pockets of PSU banks are in a complete bullish momentum mode at present. But our favorite sector in banking remains the private sector banking, and also we are bullish on a couple of PSU banks. Okay. One is State Bank of India is the stock to accumulate in your portfolio, right, at every dip.
Okay, I also wanted to take your view on the pharma story, which is likely to play out, because especially with the COVID-19 vaccinations getting into phase 2 in the country, do you believe that pharma space is going to get another leg up in the months to follow? And is there a story emerging here? And what are the stocks one must really keep an eye out on then?
Sakshi, the pharma story remains to be quite bullish in the days to come. Of course, we have witnessed a fabulous rally with respect to pharma sector stocks are concerned. So some kind of consolidation pharma sector is currently at present going through. So we remain bullish on pharma stocks. Investors need to look for the value buying with respect to pharma stocks. So there are the large cap pharma stocks. Investors always need to remain invested and at every. But with respect to our stock specific is concerned, we are quite bullish with respect to what story is concerned in pharma sector. So we advocate investors to accumulate at every dip.
Okay, Wockhardt Pharma is a pick that you think that investors should look at accumulating in their portfolios. Also, Mr. Bathini, I wanted to take your view on the commodity space. We have been seeing this space buzzing with the prices of metals going up, copper prices going up almost at record high levels, crude oil prices have been inching up. Even despite today what we read was that the US inventories are perhaps at record high levels, and despite that also we are seeing the crude oil prices are quite buoyant. Looking at these commodity prices, is there a story that the investors should look at tracking in India?
With respect to the commodity story is concerned, Sakshi, we are witnessing in commodities is the cyclical effect. So after witnessing the rock bottom prices of commodities, we are as growth is reviving. So the growth is followed by the commodity story. So the cyclicals are playing right now, but we remain very cautious with respect to the rally what we are witnessing in commodities. So we advocate investors to remain cautious with respect to commodities are concerned in the coming future.
Okay, Mr. Bathini, you've been suggesting a whole lot of stocks on our shows even previously, and many of your stocks have actually not just met the targets that you had said, that they have also risen quite sharply in a very short span of time. So congratulations to you on that. First, let me just take your views as to where do you stand now on the stocks that you had recommended on our shows previously. I remember that you had recommended like Piramal Enterprises also on our show back in the month of January. That has risen up about 40% in trade. What is your call on that stock particularly now?
Pyramid story is concerned, Sakshi, they have an inherent hedge in the company. 50% of the revenues comes from the pharma, and currently the the coming story is the way how they are going to position themselves with respect to the financial sector as an NBFC is the game changer for this company. So as we were quite bullish about this stock, Pyramid is a stock to buy and get accumulated at every dip in the investor's portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the stock rallied nearly 40% from the time we advocated investors to buy on your show. So investors can book some partial profit, and it is a stock to buy on every dip.
Okay. Also on Hemisphere Properties, I remember you had recommended it to our viewers at the price of say 131. It has already rallied about 37% now. It's at 180 rupees. So what would your suggestion be on this stock particularly? Is the story still intact, or is it wise enough for booking some profits here?
Sakshi, the stock witnessed a tremendous rally during past 2 3 months time. Uh, uh, so it is a stock to accumulate at every dip, and also the story has to emerge over a period of time. How the company is going to monetize the surplus land is going to play the role with respect to growth story of Hemisphere Properties is concerned. The long-term prospects of the company are remain intact,
Okay.
so investors can accumulate at every dip. Of course, since the stock has moved a tremendous rally from its bottom,
Mm-hmm.
so it is better to advise take some profit from the table in these market conditions.
Okay, so book some profits out, but otherwise the long-term story is intact and the investors can continue to accumulating it on dips as well. What would your suggestion be on two other stocks that you had recommended to our viewers in the month of February? And those stocks also have performed quite well. When we talk about Subix Limited, it has already rallied from 24, 25 rupees when you had recommended to about 31 rupees. And it's a small ticket stock also. A whole lot of interest is generated by investors in such small ticket stocks as well. So that has also given huge returns of 24%. ABB Power Products, within a short span, it has also given 8% returns. You had recommended it to us a month back as well. So your calls on these stocks now?
So actually, these are the investing stocks. Okay, we remain positive with respect to the fundamentals of these companies, the management of this company, and the business models are of these companies. Of course, the stocks have witnessed a tremendous buying interest because of the price momentum in these stocks are witnessed the stocks to give in a very short span. We remain positive on these company fundamentals because since have given fabulous,
Hmm.
it's better to take and
Okay. And what
uh,
would be your
sit
call on
tight
ABB power
with
products? That
respect to.
also was as part of you had recommended to us on the 12th of February. I remember the stock price of this stock was somewhere around 1300 then, and it is already jumped up over 100 rupees.
Sakshi, the business model is a fabulous business model,
Okay.
as a lot of emphasis is given with respect to the infrastructure for electric charging are concerned. The company is uh, in a mode of increasing their net with respect to
Hmm.
charging story that's going. So the government is going to give a lot of this with respect to power infrastructure. It is in a better position to deliver its best. Next, that's why products are concerned.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Bathini, for sharing all these stock recommendations with us, your view on these stocks, and also for sharing your market outlook with us as well. With that, let's move on to check how the markets are performing at this current moment. You can actually see that the stock markets are off the low point of the day. For the Sensex and the Nifty, if you see, there's just 0.5% loss that has remained. Remember, in the early morning trade, we had also seen both the benchmarks slipping over 1% in trade. Nifty Bank is back above 36,000 level, so that's a bit of a positive. 245 points lost there, but the broader markets is where the cheer is still there. The small cap index is outperforming the markets currently with 1% gains, and 0.8% of a gain is also being seen in the BSE mid cap space with 163 points of an uptick, which is currently seen on this index as well. So that's as far as the markets are concerned. You've got your view on the market strategies that the investors must follow from Mr. Bathini. Let's move on to also see how the primary space is moving. Now, MTR Technologies opened its IPO yesterday. It has got an encouraging response. On the day one itself, it had got oversubscribed. Right now, we have seen about 6 times the IPO getting oversubscribed. Also, the the IPO's price band was 574 rupees to 575 rupees per share, and this IPO is likely to close tomorrow. And after that, after a week, we are going to see its listing as well, and we'll keep giving you all the updates on the subscription. And if you want to know what are the brokerages recommending on this IPO as to should you subscribe to this IPO or not, you can log on to money9.com to get all those views as well. So with that, we wrap up this edition of Market Meter. Thank you very much for watching, but do stay tuned on to Money9 for a whole lot of action on market coverage and on personal finance as well.